tomorrow night's talk on enlightenment. But the point is that it does not matter the person, the vision, what they look like. That is not the important part of enlightenment. The wonderful thing about the Buddha was it's not a guru tradition where we worship the form, the vehicle of the Dhamma. We worship the Dhamma as well. This is why when the Buddha died, passed away, just before he passed away, someone asked him, who are you going to appoint afterwards? And he said, I will appoint no one. Let the Dhamma and the Vinaya be your teacher. A very deep and powerful piece of advice. You're not worshipping the person, you're worshipping what they teach. So you don't worship Sai Baba, you worship what he teaches. In other words, the teaching can appear all over the world. The vision of the person is not important. The person will eventually pass away and die. But the teaching, that's important. Which is why that we listen to what anybody says. And if that makes sense, if it accords with our experience, if it leads to peace and harmony, that must be truth. So we never actually say a person is really enlightened. When you understand anatta, what can be enlightened? Is your nose enlightened? Or is it your flesh is enlightened? Is it your mind is enlightened? When you understand anatta, the mind is just a process. There's no thing which is enlightened. Enlightenment is. As it says in the Buddhaghosa's Visuddhimagga, the path is, but no traveller on it is seen. Nibbana is, but not a person who enters it. It's a very beautiful poem. The path is, but no traveller on it is seen. There are no yogis, just a process. The path is, but no traveller on it is seen, no self. Nibbana is, but not the person who enters it. Anatta. Understanding that, we understand that whether it's a teacher of a Buddha or Sai Baba or Ajahn Chah, they're just vehicles for truth. So we don't worship the vehicle, we only worship the truth within it. He who sees the Buddha sees the Dhamma. He who sees the Dhamma sees the Buddha. It's anatta. So the Bodhisattva is the Buddha is the Bodhisattva. The Bodhisattva is the Arahat is the Bodhisattva. These are just vehicles for truth. The vehicle passes away. The vehicle doesn't get reborn. The truth is what gets reborn. Do you understand? Sort of. Maybe. Go on.
Why do our minds sometimes deceive us? Say, it's boiling hot water. When you first touch it, it feels cold before you feel hot.
Why does the body deceive us? It's because, the mind deceives us. Because we only see what we want to see, what we expect to see. That's why all of you are so afraid of ghosts. If you see a ghost, you expect to see, and that's what you do see. If you know what ghosts really are, they're just such soft, cuddly little things. You don't believe me, do you? So you won't see that. Why is it? This was an interesting piece of research again. I think it was Dr. Raymond Moody did this book, A Life After Life or something. Again, reporting out-of-the-body experiences or near-death experiences. People who died in his hospital but were brought back to life again. And because I think he was in some hospital in the US with a in a poor area, it was a multicultural hospital. And so there were people from all different races and religions in the hospital. And what was fascinating was when people had out-of-the-body experiences, when they went to the light and they saw what was on the opposite side of the light, if they were Catholic, they would see the Virgin Mary coming to meet them on the other end, telling them their time was not ready yet. They had to go back. They went back, and when they woke up again, they'd seen a supernatural being, the Virgin Mary. They were devout Catholics from then on. But if it was an Anglican, they saw Jesus himself. They swore they saw Jesus. But when it was a Hindu, they saw the Lord Krishna. And they're absolutely certain it was the Lord Krishna. If they were Mahayana Buddhists, they saw Kuan Yin, the goddess of mercy. Or maybe they see Amitabha, who sent you back, your time's not ready yet. If they were atheists, they saw Uncle George. And they swore it was Uncle George. I saw him, I was there. Now the point was, what is going on? Like, is it really so up in heaven? They have all these great beings, Jesus, Virgin Mary, the Lord Krishna, sort of Kuan Yin, all like in some sort of waiting room, and they look, is a Buddhist coming? It's your turn, Kuan Yin. Here comes an Anglican. Come on, Jesus. That's ridiculous, isn't it? It can't happen. There's no offence meant to any religion. So what's happening there? I'll tell you what's happening. Because I know these beautiful nimittas and what happens. When you die, when you go up to that light, everyone sees the same. But if you're a Catholic, you expect to see the Virgin Mary. And that's what you do see. You add that detail onto that experience. If you're an Anglican, you expect to see Jesus. And that powerful nimitta becomes Jesus. If you're an atheist, it becomes Uncle George. The mind is so strong, it will fill in the details of what you expect to be there. And that's what one sees. This is the power of perception, and why people have different religions and faiths, and they swear that what they saw was that. Any sort of Christian who sees a deva would see them with wings. They haven't got wings. It's just we add them on. We expect that's what's there. If a Buddhist sees a deva, you see them differently. What you expect to see. It's amazing how we add what we expect to see. Even with psychic powers. If you really want your teacher to have psychic powers, you'll see one. But is it really there? Or have you added it? There was this one occasion when Ajahn Chah was in northeast Thailand. It was the Uposita day, which is the day when people would go to the temple, the Sabbath day. It was during the rainy season retreat, the holy 3 months of the year. So one of his disciples decided to go and listen to the sermon that night. They drove through a heavy monsoon rainstorm. But when they got into the temple grounds, their car got stuck in the mud. It was pouring down with rain. They wondered what to do when they saw Ajahn Chah come out from the forest. Even though he was getting wet and muddy, he pushed the car so the car could make it all the way to the temple. Even a great monk could be so humble and so compassionate to push the car of a disciple. And they saw that themselves. You can imagine their surprise when they got into the main hall and saw Ajahn Chah was up there giving a talk. Completely dry. It was a miracle. Ajahn Chah had performed a feat of psychic power. Even though he was giving a talk, he'd seen a disciple in distress, trying to do something good. And he formed some sort of body to push the car out from the mud. That story soon went all around that area. It was one of the famous stories of the psychic powers of the great teacher Ajahn Chah. Unfortunately, it wasn't true. Because it was Ajahn Chah's cousin, who was a novice at the time. I know this monk very well. He's said it many, many times. He said, it wasn't Ajahn Chah, it was me. I saw that car, I was only a novice, I wasn't in the hall, I decided to give it a push, I just happened to look like my cousin Ajahn Chah, that's all. Now that was a true story. But even though he's told that to many people, people still will not accept it. they wanted to see a miracle by Ajahn Chah so much that once they got a half of one, they made it into a whole one, and it stuck. Now this is one of the problems with miracles, because we want to see them so much. We make them into miracles. It's called hagiography. Hagiography, look that up in your dictionary, Hagiography, hagiography. It's where people make their teachers into saints. It's where many of the miracles of Jesus came from, even some of the miracles of the Buddha. Added by the disciples, to actually to make our teacher just as good as the teacher over there. So be careful of hagiography. That's why the Buddha said the only miracle, the greatest miracle, the only miracle which he praised was the ability to teach the Dhamma and to relieve the suffering of others. That truly is miraculous. I don't know if did I answer your question. You're still standing there, sir.
No. Anyone saw Ajahn Brahm?
Anyone saw Ajahn Brahm? No. He disappeared. So thank you for that. Any other questions? Yeah, wow, phew, wow. Okay. Here we go. Okay, a person who has terminal cancer, who won't give up, who keeps struggling and spends millions of dollars for this treatment or that treatment, is he craving for existence? It is a craving for existence. So sometimes we think, would my millions of dollars be better used for some other purposes than keeping this old body going, propping it up? It would be much better for that friend to give all those millions of dollars to charity, together with whatever organs are left, and give up this body, and they'll get a much better body next time. Wouldn't you do that if you had an old car? If you had an old car, and this was falling off and that was falling off, and it was very hard to get started in the morning, and it kept on stalling on you, and it was really uncomfortable to sit inside it because it was one of those old models, even without an air conditioner, or it maybe had one a long time ago but it didn't work anymore. Would you spend millions trying to keep it going? Or wouldn't you sort of trade it in or put it into scrap and get a new model? So wouldn't that be the right thing to do? If you get old, trade in your vehicle for a new one. Let it go. It is craving. A lot of time it's a fear of death. Because we may be Buddhists and believe in reincarnation, because we're Christians and believe in eternal life after death. We may tell other people and try and convert them, but we don't really believe it ourselves. If we really did believe it, then the Christians will be lining up to die, to get to heaven quickly. And if you've done lots and lots of good karma, you think, oh, when they say terminal cancer, say, wow, whoopee! I've only got a short time left now. No more pain, no more suffering. Great, going. If you really believe you're going to heaven, wouldn't you do that? You know one of my stories, I tell this at funerals, it's in the book, about these two old people. The two old people story. Two old people, they've been married for many years. And so like many old people, they're devoted to each other. They died within days of each other. Have you seen that happen? I've seen that happen. People married for so long together, they died within days of each other. And so they appeared in heaven together. And an angel met them. And they took them to this beautiful mansion. Did I tell the story already? No, it's in Singapore, I think. And they took them to this beautiful mansion overlooking the cliffs, overlooking the ocean. In this world, you'd have to be a billionaire, a movie star to afford a mansion like that. And the man looked at that mansion and said, that's a very expensive piece of real estate. I don't think I can afford the government taxes, the assessment, I think it's called, is it? I don't think I can afford the assessment on that, the rates. And the angel said, don't worry, sir, there's no governments up here. There's no assessment at all, it's for free. They took him inside, and all these beautiful rooms, they were furnished with antique furniture, modern furniture. There were DVDs, there were chandeliers, there were gold on the taps. There was these amazing full wall-sized crystal sets for TV, liquid crystal sets. Every modern thing you could imagine, and antique as well. The furniture was worth a fortune. And the angel sort of gave him his card and said, here's my email number. If you want to change anything, just give me an email. SMS me and I'll change it straight away. It's heaven after all. And the angel looked at all that expensive furniture and he said, my goodness, I don't think I can afford the insurance premiums on that. And the angel said, you don't need insurance up in heaven. We don't allow thieves in here. You don't have to worry about your place getting burgled. It's for free. He took him downstairs to this triple garage. In that triple garage, there was this enormous, you wouldn't believe how big it was, SUV, this four-wheel drive vehicle. Bigger than a 3-story house. Next to that was this stretched limo, Rolls Royce. And the third car was a red Ferrari limited edition sports car with a retractable roof. In this life, he'd always wanted a sports car. But really, what's the use of a sports car when there's so many speed cameras around? But the angel said to him, you don't have to worry. There are no speed cameras up in heaven. You've died already. What's the point? And he opened the doors of the garage. On the opposite side of the road was this amazing, beautiful 18-hole golf course. He'd always loved his golf in his previous life. Now he could play to his heart's content. And the angel said, you see that golf course opposite side of the road? That's been designed by Tiger Woods himself. And because it's heaven, you will notice on the greens, whichever way you putt that ball, it will always curl into the hole. It's a golfer's heaven. And the man looked at the clubhouse. That was a very elite country club. He said, even if I got elected to such a country club, I would never be able to afford the annual fees. The angel rolled his eyes and said, sir, there's no fees up in heaven. And you're already elected. It's heaven, for goodness sake. And I make sure every time you want to tee off, you'll have no queues. You can tee off whenever you want, any time of the day. It's there for you for free. And as soon as the angel left, the man started getting angry at his wife. He started scolding her and shouting at her and berating her, and she couldn't understand why. It just got up to heaven, for goodness sake. And when he managed to pause, that's what she said. Why are you getting so angry at me? You've got this beautiful house for free, this amazing furniture, and you've got your Ferrari. You can go as fast as you like. I remember you telling me how much you wanted a sports car. Now you've got one. And you always loved your golf. You've got a golf course on the opposite side of the road. Why are you angry at me? And he said, because wife, if it wasn't for all your health food, I could have been up here years ago. So why is your friend spending millions of dollars trying to stop his cancer when he could have this beautiful mansion and a red Ferrari and be playing golf all day? Now the moral of that story is that too often we're afraid of death. And that's why we spend a lot of money and we strive overmuch trying to maintain this old body instead of just letting it go. A lot of times we don't understand what's going to happen after we die. We may be a Buddhist, but we don't really believe in reincarnation. We think that's maybe just what the monks say, but who knows? That's why when you meditate, you can know for yourself, and there's no doubt anymore. Then you're not afraid of death. If you really was a Christian and you really believed 100%, you would never be afraid of death. So your friend obviously needs to understand more about rebirth. And then they would not spend so much money on that time. It is attachment to existence, craving for existence, also fear as well, a lack of knowledge. Does that sort of answer the question, sort of? And thank you for the opportunity to